I'm Minesh here, and I'm really excited to be interviewing my good friend Samantha Adams about parenting. She's a really, really strong advocate for children. She's a member of the Flagler Schools here through the Education Foundation, and her goal is very simple. How can we help children who need the help that they can get? And she's a parent as well. So, Samantha, welcome.
Thank you.
So, you live in Florida here with us, right? And do you live in Palm Coast? Where do you live?
Yes, I am in Palm Coast.
Okay, fantastic. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself so people who don't know can at least know who Samantha is.
Yes. So I actually grew up in Virginia, same small town, same house my whole life. Wonderful, involved parents. Definitely had a very fortunate and blessed childhood. Through that, though, I just really wanted to branch out and kind of be on my own and see where that takes me and be somewhere new where the person I graduated high school with wasn't the person I knew since kindergarten. So just something new, which brought me to Florida and Flagler College. And that's when I wanted to be in education. That's always been a heartstring of mine. I believe that stemmed from being a aunt at 11. I have older brothers, and so that was a blessing. I still remember being about 11 or 12 and my niece rolling over for the first time and just how exciting and thrilling all of those little steps were. So that definitely led me in the path of being around children and just having that love and excitement for their growth and how to support them. And after college, I stayed down here. My parents moved to Florida, and I graduated pregnant. And so I had my daughter a little bit after I graduated from college, about 22, and just having them around and that support system was huge. So I've stayed in Florida ever since. I always had the heart to move south, and I love it here, and I'm happy to be here and support the education system and the community and be a part of it all.
Thank you, Samantha. So how old is your daughter now? Six?
She's 6,
Six
yes.
years old. Wow. What's her name?
Mariella.
Mariella. Wow, fantastic. Beautiful name. So now obviously your child is growing up here in Florida, right? And you went to Flagler College and now you're in Flagler County.
Yes.
It's interesting from that perspective, right? So Flagler College, for those who don't know, is in St. Augustine, a very famous college. And I know one of my friend wanted to send her daughter for some soccer scholarship. I don't think she eventually did that, but it's very prestigious college in this area here. So let
Yes.
me ask you, Samantha, bringing up children is not an easy job. We all know that, right? It has its challenges, which is the reason I have this podcast. So we can inspire other people, support other people, perform, give some information that would be a help to them. So when you look at your child and you're looking to influence your child in terms of, first of all, some values which are important to you. The second thing is a career, and the third is money. So let's start with influencing your child with the values that are important to you.
Yes. So one of the biggest learnings with her, I think that was the most difficult for us both, was asking for help. She's very much like me. She's very strong-willed. She's very determined, even at a very young age. It was very prevalent in her behavior. And just trying to navigate through all of that was definitely a learning curve for us both. Um, and a lot of it is even just from my education, the more positive praise you give, the better the outcome. I think you could apply that to anything and everything in life. And so and the patience. I mean, I definitely have a much better patience and skill with children than I do adults, which I think is why I love being around them as well. So that was just more being patient through it, kind of talking to her like a mini adult, okay, we need to ask for help. This is why, or like teaching her a signal when she needs it, or prompting her, asking questions to get there. And then just other morals, things of that, just definitely manners, using please and thank you. And so praising her every time when she would say, can I please have whatever it is that she's requesting, I would say, thank you so much for using your manners. I really appreciate the way you'd ask me. And then I would go about proceeding. So just kind of being very intentional with those wordings and with that positive praise in that sense. And she loves quality time. She loves physical touch. So all the snuggles, all the hugs, all the high fives, all of just the moments to sit right beside her and just play with her and kind of give her that extra love definitely helps in kind of getting what you need out of her and teaching her what's important.
Yeah, what you said is very critical, is that the behavior you reward is the behavior you get, correct? So if you want to bring out the values, share those values, help them learn some of those values, then you reward those behaviors. And I think that's definitely the right thing to do with children, especially now that she's only 6. Do you have any rituals that you do with your child in order to bring some of those things out?
Um, I don't know if I'd say rituals. I would say there's certain, like I'll have a sticker chart for her. And one of those, so it would be for manners, for cleaning up, for, I can't remember the third column, but then there's another one for other. So when she just initiates things on her own, just that. And then, okay, well, once we fill this sticker chart, what do you want to see? Like, what would you like to do? Do you want to go to the park? Do you want to go to the beach? Do you want a stuffed animal? Anything like that, just that incentive behind it. And then that makes her excited. Or then she'll start to be like, oh, well, guess what I did, and she'll tell me about it, like already knowing that, hey, this is like that positive praise is coming. What else? In the mornings are definitely the most difficult for us, just because I don't want to brush my hair, I don't want to brush my teeth, I want to get up and do what I want to do. So I have a little chart of, okay, let's brush our teeth, brush our hair, get our backpack ready for school, and there's little smiley faces and things. And timers I definitely use a lot, especially as a single parent. There's always something else that has to be done, whether it's the dishes or the laundry or cooking or anything and everything under the sun. So the timer, I say, is for her. It's really for me. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 minutes on the iPad. And then I know, okay, while I'm doing the dishes, while that timer's up, I'm holding myself just as accountable to make sure that we stop and then we move on to something else. So,
Yeah, well, that's very important. We're
yeah.
having a structure, having a very specific reward system, having a specific, like you said, timers. All of those are great ideas. Awarding gold stickers or whatever that looks like for their family definitely helps children become more clear, objective, tangible that this is
Yes.
being done. And I think that's very applicable. Most people assume, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. If you want a behavior, make sure there is a way to reward it, but you can only reward if you're measuring it as well. And in your case, like you said, if they do the things, then that is measurable, which is how they get. And then you can reward them with whatever different things you talked about, anything from going to the beach, the park, the stuffed animal, etc. I think most parents don't have a structure for it. For you to have a structure and actually put it together like that is definitely very commendable, because it's easy to, oh, I told them. It's like telling them is not enough.
Yeah.
Telling them is not enough. Is that true? What would you agree with what I'm just saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I even get myself caught in that too. It's like, okay, I've asked you 2 times, let's go. But then it's just like, oh wait, and just being mindful of myself of, okay, how can we, that's obviously not working. So what can we do differently? So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. If I'm speaking English, you speak Spanish, we are not communicating. I better learn Spanish if I want to communicate with you.
Right.
I think that just makes common sense. Screaming, yelling doesn't help, right? It is not anything which is going to be. So it's obvious that you have read the book Five Love Languages, because I
Yes.
heard you use the words quality time, touch, etc.
Mhm.
And I think knowing these things, for those who don't know, there's a very famous book called Five Love Languages. And if you haven't read it, you can easily find an assessment about it or a summary somewhere. But there are 5 different ways people express their affection. Now we need all 5. So let's not say we need only one of them, but we have just like a primary language, secondary language, etc. And once you have that clarity with whoever it is, your partner, your spouse, your children, even at work, then
Yeah.
you can reward them accordingly. And then it means more to them than if
Mhm.
you did something else, right? And that's, I think, just the part of, but yes, we all want quality time, hugs, physical touch as an example, affirmation. We also want, what are the other ones? I think I'm trying to remembering it.
Gifts,
Huh? Huh?
acts, gifts,
And acts of
and
service,
acts of
correct.
service. Those are
Exactly. So
mine.
those five are critical. So you can just see
Yes.
whichever applies in your situation. So that's a good thing to learn. Now your
Mhm.
child is quite young, so talking about career is up to you. But again, another thing is teaching them money habits at a young age. I know I didn't do that good a job
Yeah.
myself by teaching them money habits. Like they knew enough, right? But I
Mhm.
don't think I did a good job as much as I could have. So knowing what you know, is there something that you recommend what you are doing about teaching them about maybe having a career someday that they want or teaching some money habits? I'd love to know.
Yes. Through my own personal experience, career wise, um, really, when I was picking wanting to go and be a teacher, I really didn't think at all about the financial component of it, or even going to college and thinking about the pay and the debt for it. Yes, my parents helped out with that, but they really kind of, I mean, I'm still in student debt. But I didn't know much of anything in regards to that. My parents kind of just took care of it. And so I never really thought about it. So just now being mindful of that, of having those conversations early on. And also, you don't want to just pick out your career for how much money it makes, but it is, at the end of the day, you've got to eat. And so how that does affect you is definitely important, or even in the sense of, as much as I loved being a teacher and being in the school system and having that impact, I didn't think about, okay, I'm really already capped out the moment I'm in the door. And so, how do I navigate through that? And so, just having those open ended conversations about, um, just career wise, or even salary pay versus sales or hourly, and how that can be different. And even, and not having that growth of, okay, well, maybe if I work overtime I could at least have some wiggle room, and just not having just those opportunities I didn't really think about. My parents definitely helped when it came to one. I had a job, when I was a junior or senior in high school. So just learning that work ethic and getting a check, and then how do you manage that? I would have definitely liked more conversations around that, or even when it comes to investments or things like that. I definitely still have a lot to learn. So I think having those conversations with my daughter at a younger age, when she's maybe, a freshman in high school, or even just that capacity of, okay, well, these are the questions to maybe look a little bit more in depth on, and just kind of sitting down and having those conversations and initiating them, so she's mindful of the whole picture, but still obviously support her and whatever it is that she sees herself doing. So
Yeah, I think it's very important for us all to realize that the younger we learn these things, the better off they are. Like
yes.
I tell some of the people is I started my daughter's IRA at the age of 14, right? And most people are like, oh, I didn't know you could start IRA at the age of 14. It's like you had to be an adult and everything else. It's like, well, we teach a lot of things, like I learned a lot of calculus. I was an engineer and a master's in all of that stuff. And I learned very complicated, what is called differential equations and all these formulas. None of them I use anywhere today. You know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, if somebody had sat down and said, hey, here is a game plan for your finances, here are the things, the top 10 things to do, it would have been a lot more meaningful, in my opinion. And that's one of the things I'm extremely big on financial literacy. In fact, my daughter, you have met Macy, and
Yes.
I have just completed a book. We are going to be releasing it shortly called Seven Critical Career Skills They Don't Teach in School.
Yeah.
And for those who are interested in getting the download version for that, look at the link and we'll provide that, because those things, I think everybody as a parent and even as teenagers, and some people even further down the road, it's like, gosh, what are the skills I really need in my career that are not being taught? And we have narrowed it down to seven. Our focus is more on the soft skill side of it, because I think people skills are harder than otherwise. So mindset and people skills are very important, including money, as we talked about. So as we wrap up, is there anything exciting you want to share, or maybe a project that you have going on that you would like some support on? I would love for you to be sharing that.
Project going on,
Yeah,
like
I know you were talking about things that you are working on, involved in. So I'm sure some of the
yeah.
parents who might be listening, they might be able to help you with your project.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently just working on really more outreach in the community, letting people know about really the Flagler County Education Foundation. We're not only here for teachers and staff of the schools, but for students and families as well. Really, our biggest goal is to just provide opportunities that might not otherwise be there, whether it's through housing support and being able to provide in that sense, whether it's through your basic needs of clothing or school supplies or anything of that nature, or just opportunity. We've talked about finances, so scholarships of that nature as well. So, really just bringing that awareness to say we're here to support you, but we'd also love that support as well. And any questions or any further connections, I would be great to always have that. And so again, we're the Flagler County Education Foundation. I'm Samantha. I'm also a parent. I can relate to any and all things really when it comes to being here in Flagler County and being a part of a bigger mission than myself.
Absolutely. I know you have a very caring heart for all these homeless, like we call them, in transition, as you had mentioned, and just help people get the support that they need in whatever capacity they can. I really saw your face really leap up with joy that there are opportunities you can provide, and you'd like to be able to provide more opportunities through the foundation that you have. So I appreciate your caring heart, trying to be supportive in the community for people who may be less privileged, right? I mean, that just happens, and people for sometimes are in a phase of life, and if we can help them, then it would definitely make a big difference. So for me personally, when I was growing up in India, we grew up in a very poor family, right? My parents did the best they could. I was very lucky to be in a good school system
Mhm.
and really got the foundation that I needed, and which is what helped me to go to college and so on and so forth in India, and eventually come over to US, which is thanks to the foundation of the public school system, the education system I had in India. And I'm sure we all can relate to challenges in paying for education. So you talked about that already. Thank you so much, Samantha, for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And I look
Yeah,
forward to seeing you again very soon.
thank you.